Hi, welcome to the STAIR Tailored. I'm Sarah Powell from the University of Texas at Austin, and in this session we are focused on how we can compare fractions that have unlike denominators, and we're going to use the length model to do this. Now, the length model of fractions means that we can take any length, and if that length can be divided into equal parts, we can use that length to show fractions. So we're going to compare two fractions today. We're going to compare the fractions 3/8 and 1/4. So let me show you what this looks like with the fraction tiles, which is just one example of the length model of fractions. So we are comparing 3/8 to 1/4. Remember, it's always helpful to have the abstract forms of the numbers written so we know what we're actually comparing. So I'm going to compare the fraction 3/8 to 1/4. I always want to get out my wholes because I have two different fractions. So first I'm going to set up the fraction 3/8, and then I'm comparing that to 1/4. Now, even though these fractions have unlike denominators, I can look at the length of the fractions to compare them. And here I can see that 3/8 has a greater length than 1/4. So 3/8 is greater than 1/4. Now, you may want to use some type of comparison activity like this to help students understand how you can also work to find common denominators. If that's the case, you are going to figure out the common denominators for the multiples for 8 and 4. So I'll go ahead and start my multiples for 8 here. We usually write the first 5 or so, 32 and 40. And my multiples for 4, the first 5, I'll write those right here. Now, as I look at these multiples, the least common multiple that I see between fractions with a denominator of 8 and fractions with a denominator of 4 is 8. So that means I need to take this 1/4 piece and I need to divide it into 1, 2, 1/8 pieces. So now I can just place those right there on top, and then it's super easy to see that 3/8 is greater than 1/4. And I'll go ahead and put in my greater than sign or my inequality symbol to show that 3/8 is greater than 1/4. Now, you may not always want to do the common denominators or need to do the common denominators, but it might be helpful practice, especially if you're going to think about teaching addition of fractions and subtraction of fractions very soon. So that's all we have for today with thinking about how to compare fractions with unlike denominators. We have some other STAIR tailors where you can see these same activities with the area model of fractions and the set model of fractions.